consultant or academic perspective. We say you should have outsiders on the board that's independent. So even if you're a privately held company, because a lot of them are medium-sized, they're becoming quite big even if they're not listed. So my question to you is, should religion, then strictly speaking, as in the Nordic, should it play a role? Because if you're truly independent, then you should follow governance.
Krista, comment, and then we can open it up for the rest. Thank you.
I would say it shouldn't.
Okay, so it should be more open, based on meritocracy, to bring independence and new perspectives, so that we can have better
Decisions, different perspectives.
However, don't be surprised even in what we call Main Street equity markets, and I'm talking about the UK. A few years ago, there was, in fact, it was a Jewish family business entrepreneur, and he was the chair and also the chief executive officer of two public limited companies. And he had one son, for the one, and an extra son for the other. So you don't always have to comply, but I'm talking about coded public limited companies in the UK stock market. One was in the A market and the other one was in the office. We're talking about smaller. So it all depends what's the so-called appetite of investors, if they wish to participate. But believe me, they don't always want outside investors. That was their business model. So we need to take into consideration, the scale and to what extent they're in business, to grow. They don't always want to grow. That was their case. To be honest, one of them is exited from the stock market. It was the most profitable public to private transaction for the family. They put down the minority shareholders at the bargain price, and they closed the operating, and it's now heavily into property development. The shops, they rent them out to other businesses. So it's a lot, to consider, to define if it's management practices or to what extent, their religious beliefs does influence this. Okay? So, sorry if I have taken a couple of extra statements. We had comment, Andrea?
Yeah, what I wanted
And then
to
at the back, please.
Yeah, what I wanted to say is that I think that a lot also culture is influencing the way through which religion can be included in businesses, considered in businesses or in family businesses. If you have a culture or a society which is highly egalitarian, and where you value diversity, including religion, religious beliefs will be a problem, because it will not mean to respect diversity. Just make an example, if you go to Norway or to Sweden or even in Finland, it will be, and I'm highly Catholic and I'm praying every day the Holy Virgin before starting a board meeting. This might be seen as a sign of, disrespect, because some are Protestant, some others are Muslim. So it can be difficult. On the other side, there are some other societies where this can be seen as a value. So if you know any entrepreneurs which are close to the Vatican in Italy, it's normal to be highly Catholic and to believe, and you believe that if you believe, your business goes well. So you are highly influenced by that. I just have an example from an Italian family business, which you of course know. It's the Ferrero family, and it's the producer of Nutella, which is the product that you might know best in Piemonte, close to Turin, Alba. The founder, he was highly Catholic, religious, and a believer. But at the point that everyone in the business, it was not asked, but you needed to believe in the same thing. And there are some stories in the firm suggesting that, for example, Ferrero Rocher, which the small chocolate, The inspiration to get this chocolate is an inspiration to the rock where the Holy Virgin appeared in Lourdes or Fatima. And there are even other stories in which telling that he dreamt the Holy Virgin and she was inspiring this specific, chocolate. So, it can go a bit farther, but I think it's more considering the different roles that religions can play. Sometimes, at least in my culture, South Italian, religion is something that you don't choose. It's something that someone else tells you to follow, your grandparents especially. And then sometimes religion is also seen as a voice that tells you that you should do right. And maybe this can be interesting when you take business decisions. But then expanding it in the family business, probably, I would guess it's easier to have a common belief in comparison to other businesses where you have more difference of opinions and backgrounds, probably.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrea. And let's move at the back. There was a question coming there.
Yes, comment.
Please.
I can just speak up. I think,
Let's do that.
it
Yeah.
works. I wanted to say something very similar to what you said, so thank you for that. There is at least, I'm also from a Nordic country, so I feel it necessary just to comment that one thing is to have a religious history in a country, and another thing is what kinds of religious practices that are in that country. We have all sorts of different practices that certainly have a religious history, Denmark, Norway, or Finland, but that doesn't mean that there is faith connected to those practices. So I think it's important to separate between faith, culture, and religion. There are different things in different contexts, and so I felt that it was missing some nuance in how these things are being mixed together.
Nuance, variation. Good word. Thank you. Okay, thank you for the comments. Shall we move on to the next question, which relates to how culture, faith influences leadership succession, meaning bringing in the chief executive officer, family, non-family, primogeniture, it's the practice of the royal families. Is it tradition? Is it religion? Religion has influenced the birth of Protestantism in the UK out of Catholicism. But I don't want to get into that, yes? All we want is to observe to what extent these influences and what do we do as innocent researchers? How do we direct the microscope and alert consultants that advise, interact with these communities so that they can do a better job, I suppose, yes? So, can I invite Sumaya from Lebanon? Christian phalangite, as we say.
No, Christian.
Christian. Okay, to comment on this, and then we will open it up again, please. Leadership succession.
So if we just refer to the essence, which is the New Testament, we will be answering that we are equal. We are all the child of God. There is normally no separation or no differences between the leadership, the succession to daughters or sons. According to the Christianity and according to law, maybe we will be talking about it later on. We have equality between sons and daughters to succeed to the family CEO without any difference between them. The question is, what is the role of culture? I think that in Lebanon we have women or daughters succeeding to their father without any problem.
So, Sumaya, if we open this up to others as well, right? To what extent is there favor or preference of respect for the primogenitor son to take over first.
It exists, but it is a favor between the father and the daughter. In my culture, the father he loves the son, but he also loves the daughter, and he sees her succeeding to him in a family firm with great proud. He with great pride. He's proud of her.
Okay, let's ask also Young. What is the preference of the
Yeah, I have some,
Chinese entrepreneur
All right.
and the Japanese?
Okay, I have some slides regarding succession. Okay, and actually in Confucius society, you can see several patterns of leadership succession. The traditional one is obviously the eldest son succession, or so-called primogeniture. And in ancient China, and in Tang Dynasty, Song Dynasty, Ming Dynasty, or Qing Dynasty, this kind of traditional succession, very, very prevalent. And also in Japan, I think this primogeniture is still very popular. I think, in Japan, in Japanese society, if you are the elder son, you're eligible to succeed the family business. If you're the second son or third son, you're not eligible for that. There's no chance. Okay, that's very strict in Japan. And actually, in China, we also have to think about something else, because there is an interesting scenario. You can see that in 1979, Chinese government issued this single child policy. And although the policy phased out in 2015, it only lasts for 36 years' time. In the history of China, obviously, it's just like a drop in the ocean, 36 years. But this policy have created a whole generation of single child of their family. Okay, at the moment in China, many of these kind of young entrepreneurs, they are the single child in their family. So for these kind of family business, if they have a daughter, what can they do? Okay, they only have two choices. One is that they pass on the ownership to the daughter or son-in-law, or there is no succession in the family business. Only two options. Okay. So this is the first pattern you can find out in the Confucius society in terms of leadership succession. The second pattern is the merit-based succession. And we can find in many Confucius society as well, merit-based. And that is if we have many kids in the family, and quite often the current founder or the owner manager try to choose which person is the most competent, most capable. And this is related to Confucius' virtue point. Who has the best virtue, best set of virtues in terms of 仁义礼智信, benevolence, righteousness, trustworthiness, so on and so forth. These 5 points. And they try to choose the best person to pass on. Okay. The final pattern, succession pattern, is this equal division succession. And if they have a few kids, and sometimes they can divide the family business to equal portions. And you can find in many overseas Chinese family business in Hong Kong and Taiwan.
I have a lot of friends who has